whatever I'm not willing to do, there's another man who is, and I have to be aware of that. And that's something that women should understand too. It goes the other way around as well. But I think that there's levels to it, right? Because I think men stifle themselves in many aspects. Because men, we were like, well, I ain't finna do that. Like you said, baking. Oh, men don't. We ain't doing that. We ain't baking. All right, guess what? All right, keep
Listen,
telling your woman.
I have developed some very what people would probably consider, womanly skills. Like I can sew. All right, I can sew.
Wow.
Because ain't nobody was sewing my candles the whole time I was in the military.
Right.
Now, am I good at it? I'm okay at it. It can
Right.
pass.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a stitching king or anything like that. But
Right.
no, yeah, I think one of the things men need to do is we need to step out of our comfort zones. If you're going to care about somebody, all right, if you're gonna care about somebody, you do need to step out of your comfort zone. I love what I love to see. I love when I see dads that have daughters and they want to play a tea party and they go tea party with them. Big,
Mm-hmm.
strong, tattooed men,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not degrading yourself, man. Dude,
Yeah.
your daughter loves you.
Yeah.
Your son loves you. Your children love
Yeah.
you, and
Yeah.
you're not doing anything except being a good parent. And I
Yeah.
like seeing good parents, man, because I've seen a lot of shitty parents
Yeah.
my time on the
Yeah.
street, just people that don't care about their children and stuff like that. Don't, and you know what? And then you bring it up to the level. I don't care about their partner.
Right.
And stuff like that. And I think support for your partner is a huge, huge thing.
Yeah.
I think she left already. Yeah. Anyway, Aneurysm just got a promotion at work. I was going to call her. I should have called it out earlier on the show, but she got a promotion at work to assistant director of
Right.
her EMS company. So if she pops back in here next week, make sure we give her a shout out.
Yeah, for sure.
I can tell you what, she was my partner for a long time when I was a paramedic, and I can tell you that she is one of the people that I look at when I think of a good parent.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I met her son, I've seen them interact, and when I tell you that, like, to see somebody do what she did with what she had and still have a great child and treat her child, and man, like, I can't think of a better person to be
Yeah.
a parent than her. Like,
Right.
she was such an inspiration. I don't have kids. I do want kids, but if I want my parenting style to be close to hers, but obviously from a little more stricter point of view.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
With a man's touch.
Yeah.
But that was really great. I just want to call her out real fast and
Yeah.
congratulate her on
Dope.
that. But she already rolled out. But we'll get her next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Aneurysm, and we'll give you another shout out next
Congratulations,
week.
man.
That way, when you're back. Yeah, no, for sure. I think, bro. I think the reality is this. I think that we need to break all of these stereotypical limitations on both genders. I think we need to break the stereotypical limitations, because if we can get out of that and, like you said, step out of our comfort zone, it's like the sidewalk. The sidewalk is comfortable to walk on, but nothing ever grows there. You see what I'm saying? And so what we have to do is, unless you're in the hood, you know what I'm saying, the weeds come down. No, but like, the sidewalk is a comfortable place to walk on, but nothing ever grows there. We have to be willing to step out and go on these adventures and break down those walls of what we think we need to be in order to be effective men and women and all these kinds of things. The truth is that the realest thing we can be is ourselves. And that is the full scope of ourselves. You know what I mean? Because the reality is, guys do some weird stuff too, and they don't want to talk about it, don't want to say nothing, just because that's not, manly, or that's not tough, or that's not whatever the case is. And I think the manliest thing we can do is be completely confident and comfortable in our masculinity and still be able to do things that people look at like, whoa, that's not manly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember,
Yeah.
I remember when I first got in the Marine Corps. I first got in the Marine Corps, and then I went to college and whatnot. But I was still pretty fresh. I was still pretty, walking around the mall, and like people would come up to you and be like, hey, what branch are you in? And I'm like, how you know I was even in the military? I was still kind of like that, right? And so, I would still like freak out with people's hands in their pockets, and I was all like, And I remember when I first started working with kindergartners and first graders, and it was so crazy to me, because here I am supposed to be this, big bad tough Marine, coach, and I'm sitting up here with a doggone whistle and a tiara on my head doing a choo-choo train around the doggone, around the yard, talking about, let's go girls, cheer, cheer, like, hey, and they all jump around behind me, You know what I'm saying? And I was bigger too, so I was like, you know, but it's crazy though, because I remember those moments, those kids, not once did they ever question my manhood. They never questioned my masculinity or my, they never questioned that I would protect them. They knew every moment that even with this tiara on, if somebody were to walk on this campus, you better believe you get behind me and I got you. You know what I mean? And I think that it is so invaluable for men to understand that. Men need to understand that being tough and being strong isn't always necessarily being the warrior, but it's also not always being the lion, but it's also being the sheep. It's also being the lamb that they can lay their heads on. It's also being the, you know, think about a grizzly bear. Grizzly bears are big, strong, and bad, but guess what? They also can be the teddy bear. They can also be that big, warm space for them you to lie on. And so I think, like, I think it was Jazz Glow said earlier, you had to find a safe space for yourself to be vulnerable in order to open the door for other people to be able to be vulnerable with you. And I think the mutual vulnerability will build ties and weave together strength that you guys would not achieve on your own. You know what I mean? I think that that's important. I think that understanding that it's okay to be, sometimes the strongest thing you can be is vulnerable. I mean, sometimes the strongest thing you can be is, you know, silly. You know what I mean? That, like, I know for me, like, for me, that's a big thing for me. I'm not a really emotional person. I'm not a real, you know, warm and fuzzy type. Like, I'm not really that. But I'm willing to step away from those things. I'm willing to break down those barriers and be uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there was a young lady I dealt with a while back, you know, and she was a dancer. She was all in the, you know, all kinds of different dancing and all that kind of stuff. I don't be dancing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was younger, yeah, I'm dancing a little bit, but
it's hard.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a,
Got a
I'm not,
bad shoulder. Man. I don't know
but,
if I can
but,
dance like that.
yeah, man. But then I realized, like you said earlier, you know, I was sitting there and I was like, I'm sitting there. She's up there dancing, you know, doing her thing. And I'm sitting there like, man, you know what? Because it really all it took was seeing another person ask her to dance. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold on now. You know what I'm saying?
Was it
Like, yeah.
Winterdine here? Winterdean or Winterdine.
Winter
Uh,
Dean, yeah.
I, I also think that women need to show men that they can be vulnerable and be strong at the same time. I think you're right. I think it comes down to your comfort level um, with your significant other. Because I can tell you that there are people that I was in relationships where I knew I couldn't show any of that. Like you take all that feelings and you eat it and you go away. And when you find that one person, and they're going to see, because they'll be able to see the fact, they can look at your life resume and be like, all right, this is a strong man. All right, this is a strong man. He can handle a lot. But every now and then, man, you know, reassurance, man. Women don't know, but like men in a relationship, they need such a little bit of reassurance to get them through. You know what I'm saying? Because you know it's not. I don't think men have as much jealousy as they project. There are jealous men out there, but I think it's more. I think it's more of a possessiveness when it comes to a companion, and I mean that in a not the way you possess a possession, but possession. You know, they're possessive because like that's the person that they're going to work for. That's the person that they pour their emotions into. That's the person that they put all their work into. They don't want you shouldn't be giving any of that to someone else, especially another man.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa, men don't. You're not off the hook. Same thing. If you're looking for attention from another woman, you're wrong. You know, the only
Right.
attention that you should have, and you know, we live in the age of social media, and social media has really hampered that because now if either one of them is feeling bad, they've got 1,000 friends in their friends list, they're going to get some attention. They're going to get some immediate feel good. And that's a hard, I'm going to tell you what, that's a hard lesson to learn. I was watching another guy talk, another high octane guy, talk about it. And he said, one thing I learned, through trial and error is that the whole dating phase where we're just dating. So we're all dating a couple people at the same time. He's like, get back into the habit of when you begin talking to a girl seriously one-on-one, that's it. That's the only person you're talking to. Because if you get used to having several avenues of attention, several avenues of, people caring about you, or you're getting that feel good, real easily from, one of the three girls you're talking to or one of the three guys that you're talking to. When you finally go to try to get into a relationship, it's going to be a lot harder to shut all those doors and only rely on that person for all of your needs.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier if that's the only person you've been talking to. So like, I start talking to Jenny or whoever, and we get to talking, and after, a month, we're like, okay, we're going to be serious, but I've only been talking to her. It's a lot easier to just boom, slide on in there. And it's the same thing with women too, the opposite way. Like if you have 3 or 4 guys that you're relying on for fixing things at your apartment because he's in the friend zone, or, this is the guy that I like to have coffee with every day at work. Once you get into a relationship, some of those things just aren't appropriate anymore. Like I said, on both sides, for men and women, we should, I think it's a bigger topic for another show about do's and don'ts between men and women. But trying to get back on topic here, of what makes a man, I think like I said, the very bare bones of it, mental, emotional, and physical toughness. All right. Now I want to talk about physical toughness for a little bit. I think as men, especially if you're a father, I'm not a father, I'm single. But I think if you're a father, like, you need to be physically fit enough to protect your family. Now, is there what ifs? Like, if you're in a car accident or like you have a disease or something like that, like obviously like you get let off the hook. But, we as a society have absolutely 100, they will never be satisfied if they're talking to multiple people. 100%. It's not possible to be satisfied because you are used to having multiple avenues.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's that mental conditioning. It's you're conditioning your mind to be spread and multitask, for lack of better words, with all these different people. And I agree. I mean, I used to be in that whole mindset of talking to multiple women and this kind of stuff, and that just wasn't it, man. That led me down a path of loneliness more than anything, because you never really had anything that meant anything. It was just a bunch of snacks as opposed to a real meal. You know what I mean? But I think one of the things that I would go into what makes a man, that you brought up, that I think is I think there's a semblance of honor, like men. I know we're talking about physically fit, but I think there is a. So okay, I'll go there in a second. So yes, as far as being physically fit, man, I agree with you. I think that men, what was that quote that says it's a shame for a man to not see what his body is truly capable of, or something like that?
Yeah, I think they came from the Greeks.
Yeah.
The Greeks, 100%. There is honor in it, and you should be. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be like a triathlete. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Some people don't have time for that and stuff like that. And like I'm one of the lucky people that like I get a gym as part of my job. You know what I'm saying? But I also think that all people should find a way to, eat a little bit better, take care of themselves and everything under the sun like that, especially when it comes to, because you want to protect people. You can't be a protector if someone needs to, protect you.
Empress,
we have a question.
What up?
We have a question here. It says, quick question: how can you discern whether or not you're stepping out of your comfort zone for your partner or people pleasing, and is there a balance in that? Okay, I'm gonna give you. I think that's a great question. I think I have a decently good example for you. So I don't put people's business out here, but I'm talking to a female.
I think I lost you for a minute.
All right. So he loves the beach.
I lost you in the connection with you.
I do not like the beach very much. I consider it a one-day trip, and I guess all my time in the Middle East has really turned me off the sand. However, she really, really likes. I don't even say comfort zone, but just like
you're
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You like went out for a minute. It was all like spinning wheel of death and garbage stuff. So start back up.
All right. So my example is I'm talking to a woman and she likes the beach. I'm not a big beach person. All right. So my comfort zone is not at the beach. All right. But if she becomes my partner, if she becomes my my person, and she wants to go to the beach, I'm gonna take her to the beach because she likes the beach. And I'm not going to take her to the beach and be like, oh man, when are we going to leave? Because I feel like you're taking away someone's happiness. All right. And I've been in that situation on both sides. When I was younger and more immature, I was that person. And I've also been the receiving end of someone doing that to me as something that I enjoy. Um, so for me, that's me stepping out of my comfort zone for my partner. I'm going to take her to the beach, but not only am I going to take her to the beach, I'm going to at least make the effort to make it a good time, because who knows, maybe this is the person that's going to make me like the beach. Go try something new. She
Right.
likes a lot of music and bands. I don't like or dislike music. I'm just pretty neutral to it. I'm not a very musical person, but if she wants to go to a concert, I'll take her to a concert. I'll go and I'll listen to the music and I'll try to, and maybe I'll like it. She's sent me music for years now, and I usually like most of the music that she sends me. So why would I not go to a concert, even though it's not really my thing? Those are things that are stepping out of the comfort zone. People pleasing is when you're afraid to express your feelings. She already knows that I don't like the beach, and she already knows I'm not a very musically inclined person, yet she still sends me music and I still listen to it. And a lot of times I like it. I'm going to take her to the beach. She knows I don't really like the beach, but I flat out told her that if that's something that she really wants to do and she likes to do it like for a weekend trip, we're going to go to the beach. I'm going to take you to the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I want to do, because I want to make you, I want to do things that make you happy. And if I can find happiness along the way, I'll find it, because I would expect her to do the same for me. Like, that's the reciprocation. What I do for you, I feel that you would do it for me. Like, I don't do things for you, to buy your love or buy your attention. I do things for you because I love you, and because I feel like if the roles were reversed, you would do them for me.
I
Now,
think
for people pleasing, I think people pleasing is when you are afraid to tell somebody that you don't like something, so you continue to do things that you don't like. In order, it's one part in order to keep your partner happy, but the other part is so that your partner's not mad at you. If you're afraid to talk to your partner because you don't want them to be mad at you over your feelings, then it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, what Aneurysm was talking about, and I think Winterwood talked about it too, about men and women not being able to talk about what's wrong. You can't get mad at people for expressing their feelings. If they feel a certain way, you should talk about it. You find out why it feels that way. Maybe explain to them, okay, well, so this situation makes you feel this way. I'm sorry it makes you feel this way. This is how I'd like you to feel in that situation. What can I do to bridge that gap? Like, what are we missing
right,
here in order to get to the place where we're both happy? And I think communication is a huge part
right.
of everything. I haven't always been a great communicator, but I'm a lot better nowadays than I've ever been, and hopefully I get better in the
Right.
future.
I think I would add to that, when it comes to finding the balance between people pleasing and then doing things for your partner because you love them and stepping out of your comfort zone. I think one of the things you have to think about is, are you compromising yourself? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one thing to compromise your preference, but are you compromising yourself, your personality? Are you compromising who you are? Like, are you constantly saying, is it an everyday where it's like, oh, okay, whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. To where you become, put it like this, you become less of a partner, you become a slave. You see what I'm saying? Love is serving each other, but you are not a slave in that love. When you become a slave,
100%.
that's when it becomes a problem. When it's you are now pushing yourself all the way back to where you have no input anymore. You are worried about what they're going to think, how they're going to respond. I don't want to say anything because I don't want them to get upset. Okay, that's fine. When it becomes that issue where now you become, put it like this, when you become impacted in a negative way, there's a problem. When
Yeah.
you start losing your own peace, when you start having issues, when you start you can feel emotionally you're beginning to be pressed and broken and torn. It's like, okay, whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. That's a problem. So that's where you have to find that balance, because when you're doing something for your partner because you love them, it'll be fulfilling to you, even though you may not like the action, you like the act. You see what I'm saying? I like, yeah, that was good. I like that. I'm gonna write that down. You may not like the action,
Yeah.
but you like the act.
Like,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because
Yeah.
what you're doing is you'll be fulfilled in knowing that, you know what, this ain't my preference, but guess what? I love you, and I'm loving seeing you just grow and be happy and glow and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So let's do it. You know what I mean? And I'm not compromising myself. I'm not breaking myself, internally, because I'm trying to please you. Yo, what's up, big dog? We got TMR in the house, the man, the myth, the legend. But yeah, man, like, you're not breaking yourself to try to live this person to these levels of pleasure and that, don't get me wrong though, there are times where sometimes you do have to push someone in order for them to reach certain levels. You may have to be that under support. You may have to step back and place your own personal goals or dreams and agendas aside for them to grow in a certain aspect. That does happen sometimes, but then there is a mutual communication and growth to where then they do the same for you at some point. And so there's a mutual, we're climbing up, you get on my back, now I get on your back, and you all are building together, so I think there's balance. I think there's a big balance there that is necessary when you're trying to decipher between pleasing people and just compromising because you love someone, and I think that's the key. Is like you'll feel it, the difference. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that you will feel fulfilled in your sacrifice when it's the right way. You will feel destroyed in your sacrifice when it's not, in many aspects. So I wanna switch gears and ask get a little controversy for this last half here. So when we talk about men versus the world, it only makes sense that we bring up the old and the dangerous term, the toxic masculinity, and the male dominated society and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, we definitely want to make sure we hit on that, because I think that's one of the big hinge pins, right? The hinge pins right now of what we got going on. You know what I mean? Of what is the attack on masculinity, what is toxic masculinity? Does that even exist? Is that a real thing? What are we talking about here? And I think it ties into what makes a man, because if we don't have a right understanding of what masculinity is, how can we say what makes a man in the first place?
So, okay, I'm gonna have to take that in a couple parts. All right, so first part is toxic masculinity. I don't think toxic masculinity actually exists. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's my personal opinion, my subjective viewpoint of it. I think there's toxic men, but I don't think masculinity is toxic. Now, it's how we define masculinity, which is going to play a part in whether people believe that there's toxic masculinity or not. So when I think of toxic masculinity, I think of like your stereotypical, I'm going to use a typical white guy named Kyle, punching holes in the wall with an Affliction t-shirt, thinks that, doing MMA, but also drinking White Claws. Like that's in my mind, like that's what I have. I think masculinity is under attack because this new wave feminist movement no longer, we moved away from wanting equality to superiority. And so in order to do that, they needed to create an enemy, and that enemy is toxic masculinity. Not Kyle. I'm sorry. I had to use Kyle. Sorry. It's the first one that came to my mind. So, I forgot what I was saying.
You were just saying about, toxic masculinity. You were saying you don't think that toxic masculinity exists. You believe there's toxic men, which is really good. I'm gonna write that down. I think that's really good. You're saying the guys with the Affliction t-shirts doing MMA, drinking White Claws, it puts a hole in the wall.
Yeah, I think we've gotten to the point in society where you have three types of men. You have actual strong men, you have pretending strong men, and then you have weak men. And there's really no in between. Jordan Peterson, once again, be a monster. If you do not have the proclivity to be violent, to be dangerous, I don't want to say violent, to be dangerous, then you're not peaceful, you're weak. Strong, dangerous men choose to be peaceful. All right, you choose not to use what you know how to do or what you can do, because you have control of it. He even gives an example of like learning karate. Like they learn how to be dangerous, but they learn it with self-control. And I think men nowadays, we do have a problem with self-control. Okay, we also play a part and become our own worst enemy, because that's just where we've gone with society. We've created these little groups of what men should be. Like you have like your Jocko Willinson, like get up at 4:30 in the morning, do Brazilian jiu-jitsu all day and drink 9 energy drinks. You got other guys who are like, if you don't wake up in the morning and make your bed, you're going to have a bad day. You're not going to be successful. and stuff like that. But I think at the heart of it, like, masculinity is good. Like, men should be builders, we should be warriors, we should be protectors, and we should be providers. And there's nothing toxic about any of that. There's nothing toxic about a man or a woman raising their son to be a provider, a protector, a warrior, or anything else that is we consider men's roles. You know, once again, Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this, about a male-dominated world. Well, I mean, if you look at it, well, men bear the brunt of most of war. You know what I'm saying? Like, we bear the brunt of all the wars. Now, women are at home and they lose husbands, and I'm not saying it's not hard on them, but they're not fighting. They never have. All throughout history, there's never been large-scale warfare with women. Little pockets here and there, but as far as large scale, because Western society, honestly, all society, would lose their minds if women came home in the numbers and body bags that men come home from in war. You know, what was it? What the death toll in World War II was like 100 million or more people.
Yeah, it was,
or even more. I think it was like 27 million.
One of the worst counts, I think, in history. I think it was the worst body count in history. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, women died because of, you know, concentration camps from bombings and stuff like that. But just men alone accounted for like 98% of all the deaths in World War II. 98%. World War I, before that, killed off almost an entire generation of people. You know what I'm saying? I will say that if we consider the behavioral health, nutrition, and decline of testosterone over the decades have had a significant impact on the ontological structure of men and masculinity. That's another great point. Yes, our food is making us weak. Our mentality is making us weak. I was reading something the other day where a man, you know, where they were saying that, you know, Instagram turned women into hoes and porn has turned men into weak losers. You know, and I'm like, man, that's a real nitty gritty, easy way to look at it. But yeah, exactly what O3XX says. You know, our society is creating weaker men, and like, unless you're going out there and you're finding the food to eat, or, you know, you're going to get testosterone therapy or whatnot, like, you're going to continue to decline. Put the porn down and pick up a book. You know, put the porn down and pick up a book. That's my advice to men right now. Find a hobby that keeps your junk out of your hands. Right.
Well,
and I think that you need to free your mind first. So you know, we get back to weak men. Your mind has to be strong first. If your mind's not strong, nothing else about you is going to be strong. If you're not a man should also be a learned man. You should not have one avenue of anything. Like, if you're the best mechanic in the world, get a hobby. Learn how to do other stuff too. Read books. Be a smart. Be the best mechanic you can. Be able to talk about philosophy and politics. If you're a warrior, be able to fix cars. You know, be a learned man of the world and be a jack of all trades, man. Learn how to do as many things as you can, and that's how you become a strong man. That's how you become someone that leans on you. And in that search for what you're going to do, and get your blood tested to find discrepancies to assist with wellness and mindset. Absolutely. I get my blood tested every time I go home. Mm-hmm. Blood tested every time I go home. What am I deficient in? Oh, vitamin D. Let's take some, you know, I get a lot of sun. I don't know why. Maybe my body doesn't process it, but that's another good thing. We need to learn how to take care of ourselves, man. As men, you know, we're not even going to talk about women right now, but men, you need to learn how to take care of yourself first. We as men, and I will play into that, men should know how to take care of themselves. If you're going to be the provider, the protector, the warrior, the dangerous person, then you need to be able to take care of yourself, take care of your health, take care of your mind, and then take care of the people around you. It all starts with you, man. It starts with your mind. It really does.
No, for sure. I mean, that's, you know, it's funny because I think about okay, so we bring up Jordan Peterson a lot. Like, Jordan Peterson is a good example because Jordan Peterson is not a big guy. He's not big. He's not strong, tough, or any of those things. But guess what? His mind puts him in a position to where he is dangerous. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's important for us as men to understand that it's not about necessarily how big and strong physically you are, although it's definitely something you should do and you should push. This right here, even if you lose it all, this right here is going to maintain your platform and your position. This right here will allow you to be able to grow beyond the limitations of the average man. And the thing about it is, and I wanted to add something earlier, we are not saying that in order to be a